Halloween.
Joseph W. Brady begins this interview confirming the significance of Halloween in his relationship with wife Deborah 32 years prior.
No, it took me seven tries to get her to lunch on Halloween Day, and we went to Cass and Cleaver. You remember the Cass and Cleaver? I mean, that was a great place to have lunch. I mean, there are three places back when I got here to have lunch: the Cass and Cleaver, the Holiday Inn, Deb ran the Oak Room, or the Green Tree. And those are the places not only to have lunch, but you just met good people. So yeah, 32 years. Saturday will be our anniversary, and so we've always remembered Halloween. We have a little. I think we have a little mixed emotions this year. As I walk around Spring Valley Lake, there are some incredible decorations. Terry, we have some homeowners that really go out. My big concern is with the corona bug. So we'll kind of see how it is, and then we'll enjoy. I think a little peace between now and Tuesday, and we'll go from there. I'll say this is probably the last time that we're going to be able to do this outside. I know we did this on very quick notice. It's Friday for those of you watching this. You remember what Monday looked like, and Tuesday, and windy and cold, and here. I mean, this is the nice thing about the high desert is no 2 days are ever the same, and the days of weather are not. So it was just 4 days ago, the wind's blowing 80 miles an hour. We had a couple signs snapped off over at Texas Roadhouse we got to pick up. That's how strong it was. I mean, it was snapping signs. A buddy of mine, Mehdi Mastadi and Graham Carr with NEI, they had some signs over on Avenue I. They were just twisted at Santa Fe. So, yeah, so.
Let's talk about some of the economic outlook being very bright as we get into what's ahead. And do you want to start with Modway?
Yeah, the Modway deal was represented by Dom Commercial down in Ontario. The developer, Covington Capital, we deal with Ken Shear, who's the president, and Brandon Gallup. They've got a Mark is their CEO. They're a very well rounded land developer. They know what they're doing. They own 232 acres out there. It's between Joshua and Ranchero. It's on the west side. Modway it's a million square footer. I mean, they're big boxes. What I don't know, Terry, is this. I don't know if this is going to be a 36-foot clear or 40-foot clear. Clear height is a tall part of the building. That helps them with cubic. But Darla Longo and her sister, Walt Arrington, who's a fellow SIOR down at CBRE, facilitated that, and so that's going to really kick off some development down along the southern portion. People remember, some people don't remember, the first really big industrial building that was built up here was a Goodyear building over on Nisqually. That was built by Excel, and that was 880,000 square feet. But when the Heilig Myers building came in, and that was over 500,000 feet, that was huge. But what was huge about it was that it was right on the freeway. So everybody had to see that. So if you're building something along the freeway at Main and I-15, the traffic counts are about 105,000 cars a day in each direction average. So for a company like Modway to do a deal out there really didn't cost them that much. I know Ken was very aggressive about the pricing that they had to do, and I just take my hat off to Covington. Covington's also taking a look at doing some smaller buildings that we need for some of the local players on up here. When you and I talked last week, we have 900, almost 1,000 industrial buildings up here. But the one thing we don't have are newer spaces, 2,500, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 50,000. So if somebody calls me today and says, "Hey Joe, I need a 50,000 square foot building that's divisible, that's 36 foot clear, that has ESFR, that has concrete parking lot, that has docks," it doesn't exist. So I know that they're really thinking about doing that. We know Darla Longo very, very well, and Walt. I mean, Darla is the most influential woman in industrial real estate in the world. She has done more deals than literally any man on the planet. She's a part of a great team. She's got multiple teams. She's vice chair of CB. So I think that with what her and Walt and their entire team did, Jeff Fritsch, congrats, welcome, and they're working with a good city. His spirit, I'll tell you this. I didn't think I'd ever. I have such a high respect for Niles Benson, the city manager. They've got a great council. I hope that whatever works out during the election, people invest in an area that has some continuity and consistency in leadership. Tapestry starting. John Ohanian's going to start moving dirt in first quarter, 10 million cubic yards for 2,104 lots. Hesperia's got a lot of great things coming. I mean, I'm telling you, watch out. I mean, it's and then you got the speed train's coming. So the speed train is actually coming. We probably know more than we can tell you right now. We'll wait until something is inked. But they are actually going to be moving dirt somewhere between the California border and Apple Valley on January 1st. That is a plan. And so, things are, I think that next year is going to be great. And I'll tell you this, people can, you got two choices for president. You got Biden or Trump, okay? Everybody knows I'm a Trump guy. I don't always like his tweets. I don't like how he always does things. But I'll tell you one thing. I like his policies. I like the fact that he's protecting the borders. I like the fact that he's deregulated a bunch of regulations that we don't need. But when you think about the hit that the economy took when he had to make the decision to shut down what he did, okay, and on an annualized basis, the GNP dropped 34% on an annualized basis. That's absolutely incredible, okay? When we had the Great Depression, I don't think that we went down that far, but it was probably close. In this last week, for the number to come out 33.1, they've been actually gauging this for the last 2 months. So I love, if people want to know how you not get smart, but how you just learn some great stuff, I love listening to Varney at 6 o'clock and Marie Bartiromo on Fox Business in the morning. And Varney's real open. I mean, he's real open about where the economy's going, and they've been predicting this. So now it came about, and so I think, Terry, when people wake up Wednesday morning, I have a feeling that they're going to vote with their pocketbook versus vote to see a socialistic country. The one thing that we know now is people will hopefully vote, and so however you do it, vote. So let me talk a little bit about what we've seen this week in Spring Valley Lake. This has obviously, I think, been the most contentious election that Spring Valley Lake's ever seen, even including the time that we wanted to, that the association tried to close the community. I believe that was in 1989. I moved here in '88, and then that was a very contentious election, and it was overturned in the court. But now the citizens in here, or the registered voters, so that has some people mad. It has some property owners mad that live out of the area, that have a stake here, but that they can't vote on. But that's just where the rules of LAFCO. And LAFCO is the Local Agency Formation Commission. Let me say this, and I've talked to quite a few people. I've been around land use for probably close to 40 years. LAFCO is an agency that's not necessarily going to turn down if the recommendation looks like it's viable. They're really not there to argue if it's good or bad. They're there to say, it meets this test, we've checked these numbers, and it looks okay, so it goes forward. There was no doubt that I believe, and this is a personal belief, that there was some backroom dealing, but that's part of politics. Kimberly Cox, and I'm going to address that here in a minute, who's my friend, and Kimberly, hopefully on November 4th we can get past this, because you've been in political fights in the past. I saw Robert Lovingood's post that he put out today, Friday, a big post. I mean, I couldn't get him to do that to support the High Desert Survey, which I was surprised. We were best friends at one time. And I understand why he was promoting the CSDs and what they've done. But I think if you talk to people, I've talked to people out in Phelan, Pinion Hills, I've talked to them out in Hellendale, their water rates immediately went on up. Terry, I will tell you this. I've got 3 emails. If anybody ever wants to say, did you or did you not, to Kimberly last month. I've asked her a bunch of questions, and for probably pretty good reason, she decided not to answer them. So she's the executive director in Hellendale. She's good friends with Robert. She's supported me when I've done work with the MWA. I don't know if that will continue, because what happens up here, I think, sometimes is we get very parochial. We can't agree to disagree and say, okay, you like the Giants. I love the Dodgers. But we're great friends. And did the Dodgers win the World Series? Yeah, they did. So getting back to this, so Robert, I would say that you're leaving office. I understand. You understand. You understand what goes on here. I helped you buy your house. I didn't help you. I was your broker when you and Mel bought your house. I'm proud to do it. I just walked by it the other day. It looks great. I'm not surprised that there's a last-minute effort to talk about how good the CSDs are and feeling in Pinyon Hills and what a great job Kimberly's done. Kimberly's done a great job out in Hellendale. But Hellendale's not Spring Valley Lake. Spring Valley Lake's not Pinyon Hills. You know, when somebody wrote The Devil's in the Details, an ex-CSD employee, higher ranking than any general manager out here, okay, that's been involved, they said to me, they wrote the document to me, and we've published it, and it's on our website at www.csa64.com. The issues that Hellendale had as an island all by themselves were very, very different. And what her and her board have done in the parks and the pools, all the stuff they've done a great job. Very different deal. You can't, I mean, it's like comparing a Ford to a Chevy. I mean, you can't. It's like, you just can't do it. And Pinyon Hills had a different set of reasons. So I would tell people, what did I learn this week? Well, on my patio, Terry, I got a Yes for V sign that somebody planted. And you know what's so funny is I have cameras all over this house. So they didn't care about how they did it. Deb said to me that night, she goes, you know, we live here on the 11th grade. So somebody came up during the day and put it here. She said, do you want me to roll back the cameras? I said, you know what? If they're that childish to have to do that, I really don't care to give them any time and give them any of your time. But what I did find rather interesting is there's a new group in here that it's Democrats for Measure V. So I'll give you the picture. I'm going down the Parkway I'm doing my power walk, and there are two signs. There's one that says yes for Measure V, which is the formation committee. So one of the people that had the Democratic sign, they had there's Democrats for Measure V, which I thought, wow, you know, is the formation committee Democratic or Republican? Doesn't matter. I mean, this is not an issue about Republicans or Democrats, but somebody from the formation group took their sign and planted right in front. I thought, you know, wow, we have really kind of gotten childish. But let me tell you how childish that things got this week. On Sunday, the formation committee very, very, very smartly, I think last minute, decided they want to do a couple Zoom calls to educate people in the community. I thought it was a brilliant move. So I signed up like anybody else on in here, part of 5,600 registered voters. You could be on Mars and get on. I got on. I think there were 13 people I counted. They're all the formation committee. I was the only person from the community that was on there. So I just listened to their questions. I typed a couple of questions. They were very nice, and I was very nice. I wasn't there. I thought, well, maybe I would learn some, because I do think, Terry, that if this is defeated, that the constant bickering about the $1 million, which they can't prove. Okay, we haven't been able to prove that at all. The archway issue, haven't been able to prove that yet. The water meters, we proved that they're wrong on that. Everything that they have contended, we've been able to prove differently, and most of the information came from the county. So on Monday, they did the same thing at 7 o'clock. So Deb, my wife, has Zoom here at the house, and I said, I'll go to the office, and we both want to watch it. She signed up twice that day. I signed up 3 times to the office. Couldn't get on. And I reached out to Mr. Dennis Reagan. So Dennis is running for the committee. He's a nice guy. He's my friend. Everybody, I love Dennis. I love Lisa. And I called him before, and I said, Dennis, I said, I haven't got my link yet. Oh, I'm sure you'll get it. Well, it never got there. Well, wouldn't you know, on Tuesday, I had the opportunity. I wanted to thank Cheryl Bluey and Val Emick and the High Desert Republican Federated Women's Group. What a group, man. I mean, they had an incredible lunch down at the Mormon church down here in Ridgecrest. And they had a bunch of political speakers come on in, and they gave they gave the chairman of the formation committee 5 minutes to speak, and me 5 minutes to speak. And when I got there, no, actually it was on Tuesday. So Sunday I watched the 2 o'clock version and got on, and I wasn't knocked off. And Monday night I couldn't get on because we were both blocked. By Monday night I'm emailing the formation committee and saying, hey, kind of what happened. Thought maybe I'd hear something back. I think I text. So Tuesday, we both ended up at the same table waiting to do a little 5-minute speech, and I said to the committee chairman, I said, what's the deal? We'll talk about it later. Talk about it later when? We're right here. So I have emailed that person, texted them, left 2 messages this week, and we'll see. So, what I've been told, and, they might be running scared, they might be running nervous, they might be running desperate. At the end of the day, Terry, this is a community that has 997,000 acres. We have 4,215 lots. We have 5,600 registered voters, maybe 5,700. We have 12,000 residents. Doesn't matter what all the numbers are. We've got a bigger issue now that's going to be in front of us that we're going to have to deal with. And some of us are very concerned about it, probably even more concerned about it than the water issue. And that's whether or not our association board can pull the trigger and convince 66% of the members on in here to vote to acquire the country club. So case in point, The association hired a consultant. Nobody can be, no member on in here. So we're members of an association. It's absolutely unbelievable. I made a public information request to get a copy of the person's contract. I know their website, we have their phone number, we have all the information about them, and they won't release it. So if you're gonna guard that information, how do you expect leaders in this community, or how do you expect the people that voted against Measure V to believe you if they didn't believe you on the water issue, if you're not transparent, if you didn't tell the truth, if you're sneaky? I mean, you block people on Zoom calls, you put signs on people's patio. So what I'm saying tonight, and I'm sure you'll play it as soon as possible, I'm begging the formation committee to come to grips with this one way or another. Whatever happens on Wednesday, if you win, God bless you. If you lose, be humbled and be smart. People are really upset in here, and I've heard it down at the post office. My friend Marty Kiefer's been down there for probably a week handing out stuff. Cheryl Bluey's been down there. Kelly Marshall's been down there. A bunch of people have been down there. Joyce Chamberlain's been down there. And the one thing we have heard is that there's a level of distrust. So if this does not go down, it's going to be because of that level of distrust. And hopefully a lesson has been learned, and hopefully there are those within that group, as well as a group that I'm a part of, or people that think differently, that can sit down at the table and say, what are we going to do to make this right? Because we have a country club here that's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Terry, look at this thing. I mean, it's a great Robert Trent Jones Senior and Junior golf course, 6,500 yards. It's got some great stories. 51 years old. Bob Scheer used to own Scheer Realty, was a general manager in here once. I mean, talking about history. We got to do something, because we want to save this country club, and we want to be sure that it's here for future generations. And we want to be sure that, I think, whoever the consultant is that's doing this, and we know who he is, and we'll probably send him this video, because we'll send him some other stuff. So I'll send him the letter I sent to the chairman, David Pillsbury, in August of 2019. I'll explain to him why Mr. Gary Abbott has said a couple times on Facebook, you're no longer a member. Well, Gary, in November, we're going to get that really clear. We're going to let everybody in Spring Valley know that, and then we'll figure out if that was a real smart move on your part to do that. But at the end of the day, we need to, as a community, come together. I've walked, you see people at the post office, you see them walking down the street, they pull up in front of your house. The people that call me, I've had people call me, because I posted my cell number, and they're deeply concerned. And they're deeply concerned because half of them are actually retired. So they don't want to live in a community where they feel that there's these problems. Because Spring Valley Lake, can be, again, a jewel of the high desert. So,